procrastinators, how you doing? It is a sundress day in Chicago, and you know I am more than a little bit happy about that. And I'm dressed for the party, okay? This is, well, I'm downtown, for those of you who don't know. I'm downtown at Millennium Park. The Taste of Chicago is going on right now, so I got a lot of company. So I just want to give you a little look at what's going on around me, okay? Hang on. This is one of our most famous fountains for the summer anyway. The faces rotate, and every now and then, every face gets to rain water down on everybody underneath it. It smiles and then it goes. Oh, can you see the crowd? I mean, it draws a person or two. Just one or two people. There are so many people here for the Taste of Chicago. And right about now, there are, since it is this time in the afternoon and the weather's so nice, look at this. This is what we wait for. This is what we endure all the snow for. Hey, Twas! This is what we kick and scream and yell about all year long while we're waiting for the snow to melt. We're waiting to get back to this. That's what we're waiting to get back to. All of this. So, I'll be walking around, taking you with me. I'll have it on me though. So, if you see the camera bumping around, that's why. Because I'm moving around. And if you hear a lot of background noise, that's why. Because, yeah, there's a lot of noise to be in the background. Pretty cool statue, right? It's a great place to take pictures from. But anyway, hi, welcome back. I'm not used to being with you guys this early, but since I am, let's make the most of it, shall we? So, the title of this video is "You're not where you're supposed to be, you're where you're chose to be." That one came up because I got a letter in my inbox, like I often do, that said pretty much exactly that in one way or another. They were feeling cheated, robbed, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok, bamboozled, all that good stuff, because they had done what they thought was supposed to be done in order to be in a particular place in their life and relationship, and they weren't. And they were a heap mad about it too. Now granted, that happens to some degree to everybody, right? I mean, you come into a relationship or anything else in your life as quiet as it's kept, and you have an idea already of what you want it to be like, what you expect it to be like, and it rarely, if ever, actually works out that way. No matter what you do or don't do. It rarely, if ever, works out that way. So then you have a choice. You have a choice to change it, if that's possible. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You have a choice to leave it. That's always possible. But it's rarely ever simple. So then you have another choice. You have a decision to make. You have to decide what's more important for you. Is it worth it to you to actually leave the situation? And if it isn't, why are you going to stay? Is staying actually something that's going to benefit you, or is it something that's going to be miserable for them? Are you looking for revenge? Some people are. Are you looking for relief? Some people are. That all depends on you. But at the end of the day, nobody's responsible for where you are except you. Yeah. If they wronged you and you stay, if you're not getting what you want and you stay, well, is it okay to cheat if I'm not getting what I want in my relationship? They promised me they would be this. They said they would do that. They were never like that before, and they're like this now. There was a reason why I cheated. I didn't just cheat for nothing. Really? That's your story and you're sticking to it? Then understand that it's just a story that you're sticking to. Because the fact of the matter is, you can always leave. And the minute that you start believing that you can't, that is on you. It's not your partner's responsibility to make you want to stay. It's not. That's why I posted what I did earlier today about refusing to leave isn't the same as wanting to stay, because it isn't. There are so many people who are where they are just because they refuse to go anywhere else, and they believe that because they're miserable where they are, that they have the right, almost the obligation, to make everybody else around them miserable too, because they believe it's everybody else that's making them miserable. And it's not. No matter what they're doing or not doing, it's not anybody else's fault that you are miserable in your relationship. It's not where you're supposed to be. It is where you chose to be. And as long as you chose it, you have to own it. Whatever it is, just own it. You don't get to complain and comply, right? You don't get to kick and scream and whine and cry about what your relationship isn't and all the ways you're being done wrong and all of that kind of stuff, and you going back to it every day. Here's one of the worst things you can do is be in an unhappy situation and then go talk about it to everybody except your partner and then go back home. It's one of the worst possible things that you can do. Not even for your relationship, but for you. Because while you're busy trying to make your mate look bad for all the wicked and horrible things that they're doing to you, what's actually happening is you're making yourself look bad for going back. And when you do go back, trust and believe whoever you told isn't scratching their head about your mate. They're wondering about your sanity. So while you're looking for sympathy and while you're trying to be right and all of those other things that your ego just will not let you put down, it'll be back to bite you later. Because when that same person that you complained and whined to sees you with your mate later on, smiling and grinning and posing for pictures and all that good stuff, they're not going to be looking at your mate funny. They're going to be looking at you funny. Just saying. I'm just saying. You're where you chose to be. Everything in your life, everything about your relationship is a choice that you made. Whether it was a choice to tolerate or accommodate something from your mate, or it was a choice to do or not to do something yourself. The common denominator is always you. It's never going to be anything more or anything different than what you do. Well, E, what if I'm just with the wrong person? They need to do right. What they're doing is wrong. I'm not making that up. Okay. You may not be making it up. And they might be wrong. And every time you go back to that wrong, you endorse it. And you give them the okay to keep doing it. No matter how much you tantrum about it, no matter how much you kick and scream about it, no matter how much you bully and try to control your way out of it, none of that ever works. When you come into a relationship trying to control another adult, it is a losing proposition. In case you haven't noticed that already, let me be the one to give you the memo. That doesn't work. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You can't control your way into a happy relationship. Let me ask you this. Name me one couple that you know of that actually bullied or manipulated or controlled their way into a happy relationship. Just one. Just because they stay together doesn't mean they're in a happy relationship. So while you're looking around at couples who have been together 20 years, 30 years, 40 years or more, are they dream mates and teammates? Or are they cellmates and hellmates? You don't get points. It's not good social currency to serve a sentence with somebody. To have a cellmate is no accomplishment. It just isn't. Anybody can do that, and a lot of people do. That's not an accomplishment. It really is the lazy way out. It's the I'm here because I've been here and because I'm supposed to be here approach. It's like martyrdom. That whole I'm going to be a relationship martyr and I'm going to do the right thing because it is the right thing no matter how miserable I am. That is so not sexy. I just tell you the truth, it is so not sexy. And it doesn't help the relationship. You being a martyr doesn't do anybody any good. Least of all you. And you think it's doing something good for your partner, and it isn't. You think it's doing something good for your children, and it's not. It's setting them back too. And the longer that you stay in it, the less time that they have to learn what a really happy, lasting, loving relationship looks like. They're supposed to live that. It's not something they're supposed to read about or watch on television or overhear from somebody else. It's something that they're supposed to live every day so that they know what to do when they grow up and start living it, or at least trying to live it, because you're going to be their blueprint. Whatever you do for them, whatever you do in front of them, whatever you do, not what you tell them. It's not about what you tell them. They're going to do what they see you doing. That's what they're going to do. Whatever you programmed into them when you thought they weren't looking, when you figured they weren't listening, when you swore they weren't paying attention to you, all of that stuff that you never actually said out loud, but you did it in front of them, so you communicated a message by your actions that's been programmed into them, and it's become their blueprint for how to be in a relationship. So if your blueprint looks like we're just going to stay together and get these kids out of the house, guess what they're going to do when they leave? If your blueprint looks like, well, when we get mad at each other, we stonewall, we go quiet, we act like we don't know each other is even in the house. Guess what they're going to do when they grow up and leave home? if what they see from you is getting angry, looks like yelling and screaming and cussing and throwing stuff and calling the police and getting people on the phone and getting other people involved in your fight and all that other ridiculousness, guess what they're going to do when they leave home? They're not going to do what you told them to do. You can't do all that ridiculous and then say, don't be like me, and expect it to work. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. If you're upset about the condition of your life, understand that the only way it's ever going to be any different is if you actually do something different. It's not about how you feel. It's not even about what you think. It is about what you do. And the sure litmus test for somebody who actually wants to change their situation is that they do something different. They don't even talk that much about it. You may hear about it before they do it and you may not, but chances are you won't. You'll see the effects of it though. Like my mama used to tell me, I can show you better than I can tell you. And she was right. She was absolutely right. She always did show me better than she could tell me. I'm just saying. I'll use myself as an example. For most of my daughter's 23 years, I was single. I got married when she was 9 years old. So up until then, her blueprint was laid by me and my mom. I moved back home. I moved back in with my mother. My mother and I made a deal that she would help me raise my daughter until she went to kindergarten. Then I would go back to work. And I would put her through school and get her out into the world. But when she was 9 years old, I got married to a man who was not her genetic father. So he stepped in to be her father. So we became her love blueprint. And the only thing that rescued me from the weaknesses of the relationship that I had in my marriage was that I had an open relationship with my daughter. So I didn't mind her questions. I was really honest with her. Maybe sometimes I was too honest, but I was honest with her about what was going on with me. Because since she's my daughter, she was looking to me for cues of what she was supposed to be when she grew up. And I would tell her about what I felt like I was missing. I would tell her about what I thought my weaknesses were. And I would tell her how to think so that she would know what to look for, she would know what to be aware of, she would know how to protect herself, she would know how to make decisions that actually served her rather than disserved her when she was making relationships of her own. Does that mean she got it all right? No. She's 23. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? She's 23. Of course she didn't get it all right. But what she did do was that she did it better than I did it. She didn't make a lot of the mistakes I made. She made new mistakes. And that was all I really wanted her to do. I just didn't want her to make my mistakes again. You know what I mean? I just didn't want her to do that. I was cool with the idea. I could accept the fact that she would mess up. But the one thing that I wanted her to know was even when she messed up, she could always fix it. She could think her way out of it. She could recover from it. I wanted her to know that mistakes weren't fatal. That no relationship decision that she made had to be final. That she could always change her mind. That if she got new information or if she just changed her mind and didn't want to do what she was doing anymore, that she didn't have to. A lot of us didn't get that memo. I know I didn't get that memo. I'm just saying. But I wanted her to have at least that much. However, with all of that, I still have to live with the knowledge that I put her in a situation that gave her a love blueprint that wouldn't serve her when she left my home. That I had to do what I could do to rewrite that for her before she got out the house. That makes everything so much more difficult. For one thing, it takes a level of awareness and vulnerability and honesty that a lot of parents aren't willing to have with their children. And after she left, you know who I still had to deal with? You know who is still in a situation that was ripping their heart apart? I was. Even after I fulfilled my obligation to her, at least as her day-to-day do this, don't do that parent, I still had to deal with me because I'm not here just to be her mother. I didn't even have her until I was 30. So I had a whole life before she ever showed up. And I knew I was going to have to create a new life once she left. That's me. That's not her. I'm where I chose to be. Now, if it's not where I'm supposed to be, I have to fix that. Not her, and not anybody. Ah, we're back. Sorry. Lost my connection. One of the downsides of being outside in such a public place, the Wi-Fi signals aren't always the best. So then, my point is, we're adults, okay? And our relationships are what we make them, not what our partners make them for us. Our partners make them with us. And if they're not what we want them to be, then we have to change us. We focus so much energy and time and effort on changing our partners because we don't want to deal with us. We don't want to fix us. We don't even want to focus on what it is in us that's accommodating and tolerating and creating all of the toxicity that's actually hurting us. We don't want to deal with that. And it's a whole lot easier to focus all our attention on whatever our partner is doing wrong, even if we have to make up something for them to be wrong about. Be honest and save yourself the heartache. This isn't a dress rehearsal, folks. It's not. This is the one. If you don't make this one count, there won't be another one. Don't be one of those people. Please, don't be one of those people with deathbed regrets about love that you could have had, about a life that you could have lived. Only now you can't do anything about it. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I am begging you, don't do that. There's no redo. You can't wind that back. This is the shot you have. It is not a rehearsal. You can make all the mistakes you want. Just fix them. Stop blaming them on your mate, because your relationship is your responsibility. including your choice of a mate. So if you chose a mate that doesn't meet your needs, if you chose a mate that doesn't have the same priorities that you have, if you chose a mate who would rather serve themselves and use you as a tool to do it, and you continue to allow that, then you don't get to complain about it. And if that's cool with you, then be cool with it. But if you're really cool with it, you won't be complaining about it. Once you start complaining about it, one of two things is happening. Either you're trying to manipulate somebody into doing something that you want them to do without you stepping up to own what you really need to do in that relationship, which is usually to end it. Or you really are preparing to end it. And you just need some help figuring out the best way to do it to cause the least amount of damage for everybody involved. And here's how you tell the difference. By who you talk to, by what you say, and by what you do afterwards. If all you do is get on the phone or go meet somebody for lunch and moan and whine and complain, and then you go back home and go back through your emotions, you're not trying to change anything. If you get somebody's ear, wherever it is, and they're sympathetic to you, and then your panties fall off, yeah, that's not you trying to change your relationship. That's just you trying to get what you want. If you really wanted to change your relationship, you would. Even if that meant you had to leave it. That's just you trying to get what you want. The path of least resistance. You're trying to take the lazy way out. Because you don't want to deal with what's actually going on. You don't want to deal with you. You don't want to deal with the relationship. And since you don't want to own that, you want to blame your mate for it. You want to say that it was them that let you down. It was them who didn't meet your expectations. It was them who disappointed you. It was them who made you mad. Whatever. It goes on and on and on and on. We've heard these stories over and over. But you stayed. Now, I'm not talking about situations where your life or your health or your safety, your freedom are in jeopardy. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about these extreme and violent, toxic, abusive situations. I'm not talking about that, because that is a different conversation, and different things do have to happen before you can safely get out. And safety has always got to be your first and primary concern. But a lot of you are in situations that even though you don't feel physically threatened in your body, your health is being threatened because your mate is sleeping around unprotected and you know it. But you can't bear to put a condom on to sleep with your own wife. Or you can't even stand the idea of telling your husband that you actually had this encounter and that he might need to protect himself, because you can't own what you did. And if you do own it, you blame him for it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, my oh. It does not have to be this hard. It just doesn't. It can be everything that you want it to be. It can be that. It can be happy. It can be fun. It can be everything you dreamed it would be. It can be everything it was at the beginning. It can be all that. You just have to be honest with each other. Until you decide to be honest with each other, you don't even have a shot at making that happen. You just don't. But once you do, oh my goodness, you could rewrite your love blueprint. You could literally rewrite it. You can tell a whole new love story with the life that you're living. You can rewrite it anytime. Just be honest about what it is that you really require. Be honest about who it is you really are. Own it. Be honest about it. That way you can actually be honest with somebody else. And you have a better chance of getting what it is you really want. Instead of twisting yourself into a pretzel trying to be what you think you're expected to be. Give somebody an opportunity to love you for who you really are and not for who you pretended to be. Then you set them up to fall in love with who you're not. And then you get mad when they get disappointed in that. Can't keep doing that. We've got to do this thing another way. And there is another way. It is so radically simple. And I really believe that's the reason why it continues to go overlooked and neglected and ignored. Because it is so simple. It's not easy, especially not the older you get. And that's not about the number necessarily, it's just about habit. People are creatures of habit. And the older you are, the longer you've had the habit. But you can create new habits any day of the week and twice on a Sunday. And I can help you do it. And so can a lot of other people. But ultimately, you got to make the decision that that's what you want to do. It is extremely doable. Extremely doable. Thanks for jumping in on such short notice. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Technical difficulties and all. Sorry about the interruptions and all the background noise. Because it is really busy out here. But I just needed to come out and make myself some vitamin D. So I'll put my sundress on after I did my workout, squeezed in a little power walk, and then changed into my sundress. I've been waiting on these sundress days forever. But thanks for coming along with me. I appreciate it. If you'd like to get on my mailing list, then go to my website, www.edenadele.com. EDENADELE. And for all of those of you who asked, thank you very much. The PDF of my bestseller is on my Facebook page. The link to it is on my Facebook page. So be sure you get the official Passionator Manual. It's called Satisfillment, Your Proven Pathway to Power. That's where it all begins. It is the blueprint for everything else that I do. So for those of you who've been asking, thank you. The answer is on my Facebook page. And for right now, I'm going to give you your lives back. I may interrupt you again later on, though. It just depends on what the weather's doing. Thanks again for coming out to play with me for a while. And I'll see you soon. Have fun. Bye-bye.